He founded the charity, the International Valley Space Education. He is a motivation speaker, broadcaster, writer, and social commentator. We would like to invite to deliver the chief speech. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much indeed for this wonderful event that you've put on today. I am deeply honored to have been invited to speak with you today. I'm going to speak from my heart. I was in India a few years ago, and I was in Rajasthan, and I was invited to speak at an open-air assembly at a secondary school. And I remember the occasion so well. It was a lovely day. I was given the most incredible welcome, and there were hundreds of children listening to me. And on that day, I told a story about two donkeys. And you may know this story. It's the two donkeys were tied together, and the farmer brought them to a field. And in the field, there were two mounds of hay at different parts of the field. And immediately the two donkeys started to pull against each other, and they wanted to go to their pile. This continued for some time. And of course, neither donkey could get to the hay until one said, "Let's stop." And they looked at each other, and one said to the other, "Let's cooperate. If we both walk to one pile, then we're going to be able to eat, and then we can walk to the other." So both donkeys agreed, and they went to one pile, ate their full, and then went to another. And they were very, very happy and very full at the end. And this is a marvelous story for underpinning cooperation. Cooperation, I think, is a central value for all our nations now. I am so pleased that I've been invited on this auspicious day of Independence Day, Moral Day, and something that's very dear to my heart, Teachers' Day, because I am a teacher. In the UK, I live in a beautiful part in the middle of England, and I live by a huge reservoir, a big lake, and it's a beautiful nature reserve. Now, a little while ago, I was walking with my wife along a track around the peninsula where we live. And suddenly I saw a little girl. She must have been about 5 or 6 years of age, running along, and she was making a beeline towards some beautiful flowers, which are called snowdrops. I don't know if you have snowdrops in India, but in the UK in January and February, they're really our first flowers that we see. And this beautiful white flower grows from a bulb underneath the ground. And this little girl rushed up to the flowers, and I knew exactly what was going to happen because she grabbed hold of a flower and plucked it off. I shouted, "Please don't." And she was rather taken aback. And I said, "Don't be frightened. I'm not angry. I'm just wanting to explain what you're doing." The little girl's parents appeared, and I thought, I'm about to be told off for talking to this little girl. But they listened very respectfully as I said to her, "Look, if each of us pick one of these flowers won't exist next year or the year after. So we have to care for them." And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, I'm very sorry. I didn't understand that." And the parents said, "We should have told her about these bulbs. We didn't really understand either." What I discover so much when I talk with people around the world is most of our actions are outside of our conscious awareness. We do everything by habit. We don't think, as that little girl didn't think. A couple of years ago, before the dreadful pandemic, I was in New Zealand, and I was visiting friends, family, and speaking to people as I do. And I was given an enormous treat. The treat was to swim with dolphins. I don't know if you, like me, love dolphins, but one of my life's ambitions has been to swim with dolphins. And so I was taken out and we found this pod of dolphins, and I was allowed to go into the water with a group of others. And I had the most amazing experience, because as I was swimming with my head looking down in the water, a dolphin swam by and looked up into my eyes. I made a connection to that beautiful creature, which really made me understand why we have to take care of our planet, why our values are so important, these nurturing, positive values that help us to look after ourselves, look after others, look after the wild creatures and our planet in general. That was a wonderful occasion. Then after, I had to go to Australia, and on that occasion I was really upset, because I was aware at that time, you probably read it in newspapers, of the dreadful bushfires that were going through Australia, destroying koala bears, the bush, everything in its path. And I was really sad. And I talked with people who were saying, look, climate change is really here. We've got to unite as a world family with our values of care, respect, trust, cooperation. We need these values to help us work together to solve these problems. Now, jumping to another country, I went again a few years ago. I was invited to Iceland. You may not have heard of Iceland. Iceland is in the North Atlantic. It's generally a very cold place. It's on the edge of the Arctic Circle. And I was invited there, and the president of Iceland gave a reception for us. And he talked about how the world doesn't understand how the Arctic ice is melting so fast because of humanity's unawareness, our selfishness, those limiting values that put ourselves first rather than others. And his words sort of rang in my mind, and I thought, yes, we must do something. Teachers, those of you who are teachers, in my view, are heroes. You are the heroes of the world. You, through your teaching, through your being, send messages to the future. The children, the young people who you are talking with and influencing, they are going to be the custodians of this planet when we're all not here. What sort of world are we creating? What sort of curriculum are you having with your students? Is it all about basic subjects, or do you inspire them to take care of their local community? I was so engaged when Mr. Mohammed said about helping other people less fortunate by distributing food. If each one of us can take a moment to think, how can we make a difference in the world? Then things will change. My moment in my life, which changed me, was when a long time ago, I took a party of young teachers to Israel, and we were invited to a place called Yad Vashem, which is the memorial to the dreadful Holocaust of the Jews during the Second World War. I visited one of the really special places, which is the memorial to the young people, the children. If you ever visit there, it's like going into a cave. It's very dark. And all you're aware of is candlelight, candles that are reflected on glass. So you see all these wonderful candles. And at the same time, you hear the names of the children who were murdered during the Holocaust. I came out of that memorial, tears running down my cheeks. It was a sunny day, and as I stood there, I said, I must do something. I must, in my small, humble way, try to help myself first, and then others, to be the best version of myself I can be. And to enable me to do that, I decided I must think of words we call values, and think about, do I live these values? Are my actions, following my values? Later, as some of you teachers who are listening may know, I developed something called values-based education, which is worldwide now. I'm very humbled and pleased to say. Values-based education shares an ethical vocabulary based on values words, moral words, in order that we develop ethical intelligence in our students. Ethical intelligence is the ethical ability to self-regulate our behavior so that we do what we know is right in the world, rather than what we, being selfish, will do. So, what I say to you all today, you young people, teachers, parents, let's all join together as a world family. I'm doing some work in preparation for the G20 summit with a group of people called the V20, which are experts, so-called, in values. And we are writing papers to help the G20 summit leaders realize that the sustainable goals of the United Nations can only be achieved if we adopt human values that can help each person. So I implore you, go out into the world. Independence Day makes me think of your founder, Gandhi. Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. May I implore you to be that change based on moral values. Thank you so much for listening to me today. I am deeply privileged and honored to be a part of your celebration. Thank you.